I've had a request from one of our newsletter subscribers asking me how I like to attack cover 4 coverage if I'm running the Patriots playbook or the Texans playbook. And to be honest with you, these are two of my favorite playbooks to run in this year's game, and they have been over the last couple of years. So I thought I'd go ahead and show two different plays since these two teams are going to play this week in the AFC divisional playoff game. I thought I'd just go ahead and show a couple plays from them as far as attacking cover 4 coverage. So the first play I'm going to show is from the Patriots playbook, and this one is called Ace Tight Slots Stick Switch. And I really like this play, especially against pretty much any zone coverage. I'm going to show you how I like to use it. And let's go ahead and take a look at the coverages first, and then we'll go back and actually show some hot routes and take a look at some more of those pass routes here. But as you look at it, one of the things about cover 4 coverages and a lot of the defenses that you'll find in Madden 13 is a lot of times there's only one or two defenders playing the hook zones over the short middle of the field. So in this case, we wind up having this linebacker lined up right here, and now he's going to go ahead and drop back and cover this hook zone in this area here. And if you overload it, and if you think about flooding, so maybe when you run a flood type play or passing concept, a lot of times what you'll do is you'll flood either to the left or towards the right and attack them where there's more receivers than there are defenders. Well, the same thing can be done if you want to go ahead and attack the short middle of the field with more receivers than what the defenders have to cover it. And that's what we're going to wind up doing here. So let's go ahead and continue on with this as far as with this setup. Before we do that, just take a look at these default pass routes as far as with this particular play that's called Stick Switch. And as you look at it, what we wind up having here is we wind up having the split in. Now he's lined up right here, and what he runs is a quick out. So he's going to running up the field in this area here and breaking towards the sideline. And then we have this guy right here, which is the inside slot receiver towards the left. Now he's going to run that little stick route, and he's going to wind up coming in this area here as he runs it. And then you also have the same route that's being ran over here on the other side. And actually, these guys are actually tight ends in this particular formation. So anytime you hear the word ace tight slots, when you hear the word ace, generally that winds up meaning a tight end. So you're going to wind up having the other tight end, which happens to be the tight end 1. Now he's going to be lined up over here, and he's also going to run that stick route into this area here. And then we have the outside receiver, in this case, is going to wind up being the flanker. He's lined up over here on the right, and he runs another quick out. So what you wind up having here, as you look at it, you have mirror routes on both sides of the field. You have a combination of a out route and a stick route ran on the left, and the same thing on the right. And then we wind up having the halfback staying in the pass block, and here's the halfback. He's pass blocking towards the right. Now, what I like to do with this is I like, especially if I know my opponent likes to run a lot of zone coverage, especially cover 4 or even cover 6, a lot of times what I'll wind up doing is go ahead and hot routing these two outside receivers on curl routes, so what you're seeing right there. And then I may wind up putting this halfback on a swing route out towards the right, or I could do it towards the left. I'm going to go ahead and have him go towards the right. Now, the idea of this is if they do blitz, I have the halfback still as a check down receiver, and I can still throw to him over towards that side of the field just in case, and that's the reason I usually have him releasing. Now, if they're going to blitz, I may wind up having him stay in the pass block. So what you got to do is kind of see what your opponent likes to do. Does he like to run a lot of blitzes out of zones? Does he like to call a lot of all coverage type defenses? Does he like to call a lot of cover 4, cover 6? And then that's where you got to make your adjustments. So this is how I would do it if I saw my opponent run a lot of cover 4 type defenses. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this, and you'll see what I mean about having this guy. Now, I threw this a little bit late, and that receiver was open if I would have threw it just a little bit quicker, but he winds up, obviously, Brady winds up throwing it a little bit too far off. Let's go and run it again, the same play. But you can see that he was wide open. As you were watching that, you would have noticed that he was wide open. And that's what you got to look for when you make that. And let's go and run the same play again, and we're going to run it one more time. Just take a look at it, and you'll see that it's against this cover 4 defense again. I'm just going to go ahead and make those hot routes while I'm talking here. So I'm going to go ahead and make them. You can see on your screen that I did it. All right, same thing again. Let's go ahead and make those reads there, and then we're just going to go ahead and throw it quickly over there, and then we wind up completing it. Now, it's not picking up a ton of yards, but it winds up moving the ball 3 or 4, maybe 5 yards. So let's go ahead and run it again. Same thing again, same play. And actually, let's go in instant replay and just take a look at it, and we'll go back and actually kind of go over it one more time. But if you look at it from this view right here, you can kind of see what I was talking about. As you watch, you wind up having just this one defender right there that's really covering anything right now. It's going to wind up being that linebacker. As you look at it, he's right here. Now, fortunately for the defense, they wind up keeping the defender in, even though he's supposed to be playing the curl to the flat over here. He winds up covering that pretty good. But I still have a lot of other options to throw to. If you look, I have that guy open. I just got to throw a little bit quicker, and he's open. I throw it to the outside right there. And I also even had the halfback to the outside if I'd wanted to. So I really had these two reads that I could make against this particular defense that I'm showing here, into here or into here, and have those guys open. So definitely some options to throw to. even if I look deeper down here, you might wind up finding this guy open here if you want to try to throw that. Maybe that curl to flat defender will drop back and cover him. So he could be an option as well. As you look at it, he could be another option to throw to on his curl route right there. So there's another option deep down there. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and, as I said before, I went ahead and threw it to that guy right there, which is the tight end one, and wind up completing it. So let's go back over it again. Same thing. Run the play one more time. Again, it's not going to pick you up a lot of yardage, but it's going to move the chains, and that's what I'm all about, is moving the ball. And if I can just move it, then I'm good to go with it. And that really wasn't that many yards on that particular play. Let's go ahead and run it one more time, the same thing. And we're running against cover 4 again. And you'll see right here that we'll do the same setup as we did before. So let's go ahead and hot route those guys on curl routes, the halfback on a swing route, and then we'll do that same thing. This time I'm going to throw it up higher because I have that guy open. So there's somebody's going to be generally wind up being open. And that one I wind up throwing it deeper and wind up picking up a first down. So there's a lot of different options. Now the thing about this year's game, unlike in years past, at least in my opinion, I think most of you guys can relate to this, is that it's more random sort of with the coverages. You guys don't always get the same type of look that if you run this play over and over and over, these defenders will adjust to it, or they'll change up a little bit, and it makes your read a little bit harder to make. In years past, I could pretty much tell you where things were going to be at pretty much every single play. With this one, watch how that linebacker drops. This time he winds up taking this route. He winds up going over this way. As you look at it, he winds up dropping into this area here, so he's going to be in position to go ahead and take away that stick route that's ran by the tight end towards the left right there. Now, I could have threw it about right there if I'd wanted to. This guy over here has been covered by that curl to flat defender. That curl to flat defender doesn't go out to cover the back, and there's the back going out there, so I could have threw it to the back if I wanted to. But as you look at it, so I decided just to go ahead and unload it up on the top because really, as you look at it, there's really nobody there as far as covering this area here. As you look at your screen right there, there's nobody here covering that receiver right there, deeper curl route that I hot routed him on, and that's why I threw it to him. So with this particular play, just hot route those receivers and just kind of mess around. And the other thing, too, is you watch, it also depends on where the ball's lined up at. Let's go back here one more time, instant replay, because that may determine how some of these defenders play, too. In this case, it winds up being on the right. As you look at the ball's placed right here, more towards this area here versus being over here. So it kind of changes up where the coverages are, at least on that particular play. So that can also play a factor into the way the defense is going to play against some of these plays that I'm showing here. So this one's called ace tight slots, stick switch, looking to go ahead and attack cover 4. Generally look to throw underneath. If not there, I'll look to throw one of those curl routes, the deeper curl routes, because usually somebody's going to be open. I can tell you that against cover 4 coverage. One of those receivers will be open against that particular coverage.